sabotage. Oh, I'm sorry, girl. You gotta stand up or something.
Sorry.
Hey,
Sorry.
wait, I know
Do you
her.
know? Yeah, you look familiar.
This is Miss Alice Walker. A strong-willed, virtuous Georgian was born February 9th, 1944, in the city of Edenton. She's an American novelist, short story writer, poet, and social activist. And in 1982, she became the first African American woman to win the Pulitzer Prize for fiction.
You really grow as who you're meant to be.
Alice Walker grew up in the Christian church as the eighth and last child of African American sharecroppers Willie Lee and Manny Little Grant Walker, as she had 6 brothers and 1 sister. At the young age of 8, Alice's brother shot a BB gun at her, causing blindness in her right eye. Her mother gifted her a typewriter to write instead of doing her chores. Walker was a bright young teen and won a scholarship to attend Spelman's College in Atlanta, Georgia, where she studied for 2 years and transferred to Sarah Lawrence College in New York, where she graduated with a Bachelor's of Arts degree. During Walker's college years, she had 2 abortions and struggled with depression. She also began writing her first book of poetry, once exploring themes of life, loss, love, and the fight for civil rights. In the early 1960s, she was compelled to return back to the South after college and join the struggle against segregation. Miss Walker was also a strong activist for the civil rights movement and was even arrested for protesting. Miss Walker met her husband, Melvin R. Leventhal, a Jewish civil rights attorney in New York, and they got married in 1967. Because interracial marriages were illegal in New York, they moved to Mississippi, where they became the state's first biracial couple to legally be married. Walker and her husband had a daughter named Rebecca in 1969. Within her marriage, Walker published in 1968 her first book of poetry once and her novel The Third Life of Grange Copeland in 1970. And later within the decade publishing many more short stories and novels. Walker and Leventhal's marriage grew harder and harder as they were subject to threats from the KKK. And as Melvin was away doing work for long periods of time, their marriage did not last, and in 1976 they divorced. After moving to New York City, where she worked as an editor for Miss Magazine, Walker completed a short story collection in 1981 featuring the abortion, which was inspired by Walker's own experiences. She then moved to California, where she wrote her most popular novel,
The Color Purple, is my 10th book.
In 1982, telling the struggles of an African American woman. The book won the Pulitzer Prize and was adapted into a film by Steven Spielberg in 1985. Her book has had many more film adaptations, including a recent one, The Color Purple, in 2023.
In 1985, Steven Spielberg's film of Alice Walker's The Color Purple reignited controversy surrounding the author's depiction of black men. While the film received critical acclaim, including 11 Academy Award nominations, Walker was conflicted by its success. 10 years later, she reveals the private and public difficulties she faced during the filming of her Pulitzer Prize-winning novel.
And she has continued with her work. Walker's later fictions include By the Light of My Father's Smile in 1998, The Forward is with the Broken Heart in 2000, and Now is the Time to Open Your Heart in 2005, and many following. Ms. Walker was rumored to be bisexual and found true as she admitted to having a romantic relationship with American songwriter Tracy Chapman in the mid-1990s. In 2011, Walker published the unconventional memoir The Chicken and the Chronicles and her documentary film Beauty and the Truth, released in 2013. In 2022, Walker chose to publish Gathering the Blooms Under Finally, a deeply intimated collection of her journals. Alice Walker is an American novelist, poetess, essayist, short story writer, and social activist who became the first African American woman to win the Pulitzer Prize for fiction. Walker is alive today, standing at the age of 81, and continues to write. She speaks out against Israel's policies towards Palestine and many more troubles faced in America.
One of the joys of work is where it takes us.
Wow, Alice Walker is really cool. She's really lived an interesting life.
She was blinded in one eye.
And she has parents as a sharecropper.
And she had 2 abortions in college?
That's wild. And she was subject to threats from the KKK. Oh,
Wow. And she has 8 siblings.
Whoa. She was arrested for protesting.
And she was bisexual.
Oh.
Wow.
And she's won the Pulitzer Prize. That's
We should really look into Alice Walker.
We really should. I found this really good poem.
Wow, you're really cool. What's your favorite poem?
Expect nothing. Live frugally on surprise. Become a stranger to need of pity, or if compassion be freely given out, take only enough. Stop short of the urge to plead, then purge away the need. Wish for nothing larger than your own small heart, or greater than a star. Tame wild disappointment with caress unmoved and cold. Make of it a parka for your soul. Discover the reason why so tiny human midget exists at all, so scared and unwise. But expect nothing. Live frugally on surprise.
In one of Alice's lines, she says, "Discover the reason why so tiny human midget exists at all." This is an example of a metaphor. Seeing as most humans are not actually midgets, this demonstrates how small the human race is compared to the billions of other planets and galaxies that exist in the universe. Alice also uses end rhyme when she says, "Stop the short of urge to plead, then purge away the need." This end rhyme is very unique as it is one of the only 2 spots where she uses end rhyme in her poem. She uses this rhyme to create a sense of rhythm and to help those words stick in the reader's head. She does this because these lines are important. They tell you not to take more than you need for anything, and to get rid of the desire you may have for anything you don't need. Alice's poem is structured as a free verse, and she chose to create it this way so she could have more freedom in the advice she gives in the poem without having the constraints of certain meters or rhyme schemes.
In Expect Nothing, Alice Walker repeats the idea of letting go. She says to expect nothing, live frugally, and love without attachment. This repetition shows how freedom comes from not clinging to others. The more we let go, the more we gain. Walker's message is clear. Happiness isn't in what we expect, but in what we appreciate. She reinforces this idea by saying, "Wish nothing larger than your own small heart," emphasizing that we should not desire beyond ourselves. By repeating the concept of wanting nothing, she shows that peace comes from contentment and not from expectations. Oh my gosh. Alice Walker uses alliteration in Expect Nothing to emphasize her message. She wants to make it more memorable. She writes, "Expect nothing, live frugally on surprise." The repeated N and S sound creates a rhythm that reinforces her theme of letting go.
I really liked the poem. I liked how only a few of the lines rhymed, because that way it made the ones that do rhyme, it made them feel more important. I also liked how easy it was to understand and how applicable her advice is.
I liked Alice Walker's poem because the theme of having no expectation is really easy to understand. As a high school student, Ms. Walker words are great for me to understand. I typically don't go up my way looking for poems like this, but Ms. Walker makes her words easy to understand, allowing me to resonate with her words and utilize it within life.
Ms. Walker is a very strong writer and passionate within her work. I can resonate with her words as a military child within my life. I expect to keep close-knit relationships with my friends that I've made, or expect for me to fit in quickly, which is something that I've realized I need to allow to happen within its own time.
I didn't really like it. I didn't mess with it. It teaches me that true happiness comes from within, not from what others give or do. When I expect nothing, I am free from disappointment and can focus on what...
Wow. She connects this poem to her real life because when someone goes through all the tough times she experienced, living without expectation is very understandable.